Few issues can be more important for the future of this country, and certainly the future of my electorate, than the twin problems of chronic youth unemployment and chronic skill gaps. But to understand the situation we have in the legislation before the House, it's worth just going back over some of the problems that were created by the last government. And if we look at youth unemployment levels, between 2004 and 2008, under the, or just towards the end of 2007, under the previous Howard government, we saw 13% increases in youth employment rates. But between 2008 and last year, we saw an 8% reduction in youth employment rates, whilst the overall employment market increased by 8%. We saw participation rates by people under the age of 25 falling from 71% to 66%, having climbed in the previous 5 years. And meanwhile, we got to the point we are at now, where we have youth unemployment rates of 12.4% relative to just under 6% for the overall economy. We are now at the point where 1 person in 3 who is unemployed is aged under 25. And we have hotspots of youth unemployment in places like Burnie and Devonport of over 20%. So this is a very, very serious problem that the previous government failed to address. Now, when we take a deeper look at apprenticeships and training, in the final quarter of 2013, the commencements in apprenticeships dropped 19.6% versus the previous year, and completions decreased by 24% relative to the previous year. Now, these numbers are worrying, but when looking at trades and technical training in particular, the numbers are even bleaker. And we see there that, and we've heard this before from previous speakers, that less than 50% of people are finishing their courses, and we're consistently seeing that now. The Department of Employment has done some notable research in the area, and in a 2013 report showed that they demonstrated that shortages exist for a number of occupations, particularly amongst the trades, and the concentration of skill shortages within trades is demonstrated by the fact that 6 professions were in shortage in 2013. However, 18 technicians and trade worker occupations were in shortage. 18. Some of the specific areas which are of great concern to my electorate include food trades, where only slightly over 50% of the positions are filled, construction trades and resource-related trades, where again slightly over 50% of the positions are being filled. Further, that report said with regard to food trades, recruitment of food trade workers remains difficult in 2013, with around half of surveyed vacancies filled and 1.5 suitable applicants per vacancy, compared to 1.8 in the previous year. In addition to that research, the Australian Industry Group employer survey from 2012 shows that technicians and trade workers represent the most significant area of skill shortage, a much larger number than that of any other occupational group, with 33.3% of survey respondents noting shortages in this area. And the AIG report summarises that completion rates for Australian apprenticeships are unacceptably low at 55.4%. This represents a significant economic cost and a great problem for the economy. Of course, our policy, which is before us in the form of the legislation we have in front of the House, is aimed at addressing this, and I won't repeat the details of the policy, but I think in contrast to what we heard from the member for Shortland, it's worthwhile looking at what the experts have to say about this legislation. Again, I refer to the AIG, the Australian Industry Group, who say, I quote, "The Trade Support Loan Scheme is a positive step enabling apprenticeships or apprentices to access financial support over the course of their apprenticeship. We particularly commend the completion incentive built into the loan structure." And of course, Deputy Speaker, it's a very important part of the structure of this policy, because it is designed to get people to finish their courses, and we know that's as big a problem as getting them to start. Finally, we hear from an NGO by the name of Busy. The CEO is Paul Miles, and he says the trade support loans are a fantastic solution to ease the financial burden by providing apprentices with real support while they complete their skills training. Deputy Speaker, I commend this legislation